But what I'm trying to say is that almost regardless of whether you see there's some fundamental or not fundamental, I'm combining just the simple visual similarities, Brad, of the pattern so that people can see, well, you know, this guy, Dan, I mean, it's not like he's doing like some big magic. He's kind of just repeating the same thing. And then I'm going to show you how to dial in this window right here, the biggest gainers today, to find you more of these patterns. I want to do stuff that's very simple, Brad, that people think like, well, you know what, maybe I can do this. Sometimes, Brad, you cannot just tell them, the investors, the subscribers to Trade Ideas, you have to show them. So let's get really personal on this Q&A Wednesday and jump right in. One of the things that you're able to do to control your own destiny, and I use Trade Ideas here to help me with that, is managing your own money, whether you're doing it in an E-Trade account or as I'm showing you here. This is the Trade Ideas. I'm a member of Trade Ideas, the CEO. So I'm in our own 401k, but unlike most of you who have 401ks, you don't make any decisions there. You allow other people to do it for you, whereas most 401ks, believe it or not, have the self-directed option. So I'm showing you that I took the self-directed option, and my return right now is something none of you have ever seen for yourselves in any 401k. I can guarantee you that because it's not allowed. I'm just showing you that the people that are involved with Trade Ideas are immensely and deeply involved in the actual transactional business of investing, and we do it ourselves, and we feel like we wouldn't be doing a service to you by being bad at what we do and just managing stuff. No, we actually do it. We want to win. We want to win big. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you what is my investment thesis, my concept. Okay, so let's talk about what it is that I do. And here's one of the cool things I can show you. So what you're seeing here is my average cost, the recent price, the percentage gain and loss. But I want to show you what this looks like in a portfolio other than Trade Ideas, although I think you've seen a lot of these before. But I just want you guys to see what it is that I have actually put my own money into. Marathon, 289. AMC, 645. US Steel, 722. GameStop, 65. Mesa Air Group, 3, Penn, Virginia, 9. This is a warrant for a SPAC, and I've told you guys before that SPACs are one of the things that I've been dabbling in because it's kind of like a new IPO. Infrastructure and energy, another SPAC, tanker, which is supplies, shipping stuff to and from using the ocean. I bought ORPH just 2 days ago. That's another one, and we'll discuss why, and I'll show you because it's a really similar concept. Pharmaceuticals, another SPAC in the cannabis space, a SPAC, and so forth. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to show you kind of what it looks like to go through these and what is my perspective. So this is a symbolist, so I can go to configure and symbolist, and it's called my 401k personal. So nothing exciting here. I just uploaded the stocks that you saw from Principal Financial into Trade Ideas. This is what Trade Ideas is good at, and I can edit it on the fly as I move along, but it kind of stays at around 30 stocks or so. So let's take a look at it today, and you're going to see some common themes. Okay. So first of all, notice this gigantic move in ORPH. This is a monthly chart, but this is the daily chart. So basically you see a stock that's kind of been doing nothing. Then it just pops, goes all the way to 80, just unbelievable, goes all the way back, gets smashed again, and all of a sudden starts. So I picked it up like right here, okay, on this day. Please notice this theme. I'm trying to show you guys something that I think a lot of people dismiss, which is simplicity is a mark of genius. You're going to see this concept. So what you're seeing here, you're going to see it being repeated. And what I will tell you is that all of these stocks at one point or another ended up here, which is kind of where I am doing my fishing. And of course, I've also shown you the paper trading, the simulated trading is where I practice this before I put it into real life. And once I feel comfortable, that it's doing what I think it's doing, I put my money where my mouth is. That's a very simple approach. But let's take a look. Look at AUVI. Okay, do you guys see what I'm talking about here? Same thing. You have a stock, just does something, goes all the way down, and then boom, a gigantic move. Okay, a big pullback, and here I am in it, waiting for another bounce, almost a return back. If we go to ORPH, you're going to see something very similar. Big move, correction, I step in. So I never had to be first. I never had to be the one that said, oh, you know what, I'm a genius, and ORPH right over here is going to do this and this and this and that. Although, again, there was some hype and things like that. But I actually went after the big news, which is okay in the stock market because supply and demand a lot of times lets you not necessarily be the first to bat. Okay, now let's look at this one. This is both a SPAC and once again, a very, very similar pattern. This is a combination of what I call a left and right hand move. I actually bought this one right when it was announced because I thought this Tesla competitor was an interesting SPAC, and this was a while ago. And look at what it did. It ran all the way to 64 before coming down hard, and I added to my position. I bought a little bit here, but then I started adding around here big time, and here we are starting this process again. Notice the similarity. I'm not trying to be a genius, and I'm not trying to create this magical calculus complicated formula. I'm just doing very simple kind of stuff. And of course, you guys, we've discussed this 100 times. Here's GameStop doing nothing, 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 then boom, explosion to 500, all the way back to here. And I was buying it right here. This is where I bought. Okay.
Well, and GameStop is coupled with some fundamental news that gives you a little bit more staying power, or
of course.
Yeah.
Of course, too. But what I'm trying to say is that almost regardless of whether you see there's some fundamental or not fundamental, I'm combining just the simple visual similarities, Brad, of the pattern so that people can see, well, you know, this guy, Dan, I mean, it's not like he's doing like some big magic. He's kind of just repeating the same thing. And then I'm going to show you how to dial in this window right here, the biggest gainers today, to find you more of these patterns. I want to do stuff that's very simple, Brad, that people think like, well, you know what, maybe I can do this too, because yikes, it doesn't look that complicated. That's really what I want. I want people to not be overwhelmed. But of course, I'm also showing you the latest version of our container, getting very close to coming out, looking much better. And, you know, there's lots of stuff you can do here. And I'm also showing you how at the same one click, you know, I'm getting this profile, the fake short float, short float information, of course, the news. So I'm seeing like everything I need to see. If I'm over here on this Kin, right? And by the way, notice again, not that dissimilar. Let's see that. Look at this 27, boom. Now I'm going to put, and remember, we talked about putting stuff on the radar. At first, I parted it, and then I set myself a nice little reminder. What? I forgot, Brad. I can do that right here. Look at this beautiful bell. Boom, I set the bell, and I'm going to put that bell at $10 and say, I like this stock. Wink, wink. This is just a personal note for me, but here it is. Here I am. I'm ready for right here. I don't have to buy it right here. I can let it mess around, and of course, if it comes down, I'll be aware, you know. But once it breaks out of this level, it could probably test here, and then we're going for the next one. And look at the volume here. How do you feel comfortable about putting something on your radar? And Brad, why was I so fast to click that I like it button? Well, it's because look at this relative volume. Okay, 90. 34 million, almost the whole float was traded, almost 100% of the float. And when you see these shareholder lawsuits, again, this is what we call FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Somebody's scared of this thing, and it's probably more than, if it says 3%, Brad, so what do we say? That means it's about 314, right? doing my crop math. Just giving you a heads up that this is a big number, 90 relative volume. I'm looking for this. I like this. This is the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. And now this landed on my I heart the stocks. I like the stock, and of course I have my alarm set. So I'm moving back. I'm going to like dial this back down a little bit. Okay. So we're going to look at ride. Okay. Ride is something similar. Started as a SPAC, and I'm in it at a SPAC price, went all the way to 30, and I've added some more in and around this area because, again, you want to try to get in. I hate using Warren Buffett's stuff, Brad, because I'm not a fan of his per se, but he does disclose some truth. Was like, you want to get in when there's panic at the disco. Let's take a look at this beauty. We've talked about it 100 times before. Same story. Brad, I really like, you know, you and I, Brad, me being the expert golfer out of the two of us, we often talk about the similarities between the golf game and the trading game. And in this particular case, Brad, one of the things that I want to point out to is that amateurs in golf fail because, well, if they play 18 holes and they shoot 106, which is very common for amateurs, you know what they've done? They made 106 different strokes. It's hard to do that.
They're tired too.
Well, they're tired, but when I say this, ladies and gentlemen, please pay attention here because this is some of the best stuff you're going to get, especially in analogy and metaphor. And I know Barry, who used to be a scratch golfer but isn't anymore, totally like nodding his head. He's like, that damn guy's right. The reason I'm saying that amateur golfers make 106 different strokes is because each one of their shots is a little different. They have no plan for what they're doing. Whereas professional golfers are so meticulous, almost to a superstitious point, right, Brad, in golf, where their pre-shot routine is dialed into pretty much like every move. Like, do you
the same every time?
Yeah, same every time. Do they take one step or two steps? Do they move their head to the left? In other words, by the time they're executing their shot, their swing, well, they're getting very close to repeating the same thing that they've been doing for the last however many years they've been on tour, and that's why they're on tour. They're doing the same thing over and over again, and it's working. This is what I'm trying to show you that I'm doing. I'm doing the same thing over and over again. It's working. So you look for a gigantic move, and by the way, you can trade around here. This doesn't mean you can't trade this, because look, there's like, look at these moves from 14 to 7, back to 14 to 7 to 11 to here. I mean, you can see it's kind of what's called coiling, but this is the bigger picture. Something big happened here. I wasn't involved, but because of this and because of the volume that was associated here, I instantly realized that something was afoot, some information that wasn't being processed by the market in, let's say, the normal way. And so I became interested, and that's why I own this stock. Okay, notice it is not unlike the same patterns. Gigantic move. Why did this happen? Was everybody that did this, were they just wrong? Is it possible that counterparties didn't want some of the information out? We don't know all that, but it sure does seem like it's kind of getting ready to go again. It's going to get very interesting above 20. So I would once again add it like this and say, okay, I see what he's doing. He's looking for an oversized move, a retracement, and then picking spots. Now, by the way, depending on your preference of how you like to interact with the market, you know, some people in today's meme stock world like to be diamond-handed, meaning like they just like to hold the stuff once they find their price that they're comfortable with. But other people, you can trade between 5 and 13. There's a couple hundred percentage points. So you can feel free to trade around this. Okay, but here I am doing similar stuff. This is a warrant. You're not gonna need to see that. Once again, laser, same thing. Big volume spike, pullback, getting ready. Do you guys see it? Okay, you're gonna really like this one. Look at this. You know, here you have something that went from $50, just got annihilated during 2017. And this is one of the reasons, Brad, that I have monthly charts up, and I'm trying to show you that you do not have to overcomplicate the stuff that you're doing. And in this case, this is a tanker company. You can see where it's from.
Is it important to know that you like the shipping industry right now, and knowing that might give you a little bit more, I don't know, confidence in getting into something like that, or not?
It could be important, but Brad, I think the reason I'm not kind of discussing the industries and which industries I like or which ones I don't is simply because I'm trying to keep it to a very non-fundamental and just price reaction sort of concept. Here, so you can see I'm bottom fishing, and that's fine. That's a style that I like, because I'm just saying to myself that, you know, I can withstand some of, I mean, I've taken all, without being in it, I've taken the brunt of the down move, and now here's where I bought it. You know, it would have really needed to get completely annihilated on an immense volume, but look what happened instead. From 2 went all the way to 17 and is now at 9. That's what I'm trying to show you you can do without going crazy on the analysis, okay?
And the difference is, if you're buying the breakout, right, and you get this thing moving and you buy the breakout, you're not able to withstand the pullbacks quite as much.
Absolutely, yeah. So notice here we have lots of interesting metrics that I use on my portfolio, the put-call ratio. So I can see if lots of people are creating that gamma squeeze type situation. In this case, like, so right now, Brad, in GameStop, let me just bring this up, see if I can get the numbers. Okay, this is one of the first times I've seen in a long, long time where the put volume was larger than the call volume. It's almost like they're so afraid they're putting more and more pressure on it. But for almost entirely the last few months, it's been reversed. So this lets you know, like, are the puts in play or the calls in play? Put ratio of less than 1 means there's more calls than puts. So if I sorted this way, you can kind of see very close. But if you want to see really ones where there's so many more calls than puts, which creates that gamma squeeze pressure. By the way, this is another one that I'm in, Clovis Oncology. Can anyone see why I could possibly be in this one? Brad, I mean, am I not just repeating the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great one because it's got some great upside potential. And, you know, if you don't like this and it drops down to $5 or whatever, you're out and you've taken really minimal risk.
Correct. Minimal risk for potential returns of 1,000%. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, it can be that simple. And notice this upswing in volume during this correction right here. Notice it. These are things that you should be paying attention to. And once again, you can just set yourself a little alarm and say, hey, Brad, by the way, just kind of noticing, see how it defaults to the...
yeah, it's going to go to the last price, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we know. But here, I'm just going to put in 7 and saying back at it and save it. Okay, so here I am. This is my number. And of course, I can move it. I can just put it right here, 756. Now I'm above the whole thing. So that's what I'm really trying to showcase. And what I want to do now is I want to show you how names like this can be found very simply using one of our pre-configured strategies that I dragged from one of the columns that I have. So as you guys know, sorry, not columns, but channels. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to move this over. So nice with the new docking windows. So if you notice here, this is our channel bar. I'm going to go to this channel right here. That's called Explosive Winners. So you have biggest gainers today, you have biggest gainers the week, biggest gainers for the month. So what I did was I kind of grabbed this one and put it, a modification of it, or actually maybe just exactly the same right in here. And what I want to show you guys is now how do you make this one where all of these look a little bit more like Dan's favorite kind of stocks. Okay, I'm going to show you how simple it is, and hopefully this will resonate with you guys as we're showing you how we utilize our own technology to help ourselves. Now this then, so the process is that something from here, once I make this list, then I start using simulated trading with it, or I can create an automated simulated trading strategy like I did in my previous Q&As when I talked about short-term panic mode. Hopefully you guys have heard about that. I know lots of you have been here on repeat, and this will, I hope, resonate. So let me show you what you can do. So I'm going to go to configure right here. Okay, and I'm going to search for something called position. Okay, so we have lots of different stuff that where you can tell the computer, search for something that's here in relationship to the high and the low. So 5 minutes from the open, 30, 60, previous, pre-market. I mean, you can kind of get granular with it. 20, 30, what about 3 months? Okay, what about 6 months? What about 9 months? What about a year? Okay, I can even say 2 year. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add a filter. And what I'm going to do is maybe a little bit surprising, but I'm going to say maximum of, let's say, 35. So I like to do something like that. And what I'm going to say is biggest gainers today, bouncing from long term. Okay. I'm going to go to window specific filters. I'm going to take a look. I'm going to hide the end use and just see what is it that I have. Well, this is fine. Dollar volume today, 20,000. I'm going to add a 0, so at least 200,000. I can even say something like relative volume of 1.5, so that I know that it's kind of preparing. So it's already at above normal. I mean, you can get I can even say if I wanted to just go right for the gusto 5. Let's see what happens. Nothing might even come up. But let's take a look.
What's your server sort, Dan?
I want to find out. So the sort has changed from the close. I think that's normal, Brad.
Yep, that's the right one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So lots of this stuff is done on our servers, and of course, that's why this is a little bit of the nuance, server sort, all of these things, the columns, the tabs that I'm using are things you can find out in any of our educational sessions, which are available online, which we'll discuss towards the end. But let me hit OK and hit OK again. All right, so let's take a look at this real quick and just go through these a little bit. Obviously, ORPH, you understand what's happening. No brainer. I'm already in it. I already told you. But these are ones I'm not into yet. But look at what's happening. So what do these got? Offices, real estate agents, profile, operation, real estate projects. Is this a REIT? Looks like, right, Brad? Maybe.
Yeah, in some fashion.
Of some fashion. So it's a real estate play, and of course, real estate got kind of hammered during COVID. 2020, and then it really bounced up high and then came off. Remember, this is a monthly chart, so you're getting a bigger perspective, and here we are, right here. I like this. This is exactly what I look for, guys. And again, that doesn't mean that I'm jumping in, but I'm just saying that these are the things that you should look at. Look how simple I made it. OPT. Once again, big move. Okay, we're talking about a monthly chart. It comes back, big move. Here it is. I like this top of the range. So this reminds me of that ORPH. See, a big wick, meaning something's going there. So OPT. I like this one too, and I'm going to set a little alarm for myself at the quads and say quad love. This is just numerology stuff that I like to have fun with. 1111, I always like certain prices, but you can see, once again, remember we said we have some similarities. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. The reason that Brad is very interested in this, I mean me, is look at this relative volume. Brad, could you just reiterate in your beautiful voice, what does a 208 relative volume mean?
Yeah, you bet. Relative volume, it's really one of our better filters. It takes a real-time look at the volume that's currently trading through that stock and compares it to normal. It compares it to its normal statistical baseline of volume. So this right here is doing 208 times its normal volume. I mean, that's just huge. When you look at something that's doing 2 or 3 times their normal volume, that's big. I mean, that's something to be really consider. This right here is astronomical.
Right. It is literally, again, something major is going on, which is why you even have the news stories, why Altia skyrocketed, as if they know. But I'm showing you that this is a pattern. AUVI already in it, to win it, you already saw it. Boom, 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 here we go. So even though I obviously knew what I was presenting, I just wanted people to know that this setup right now, I did it on the fly. And even though Brad and I both know how this works, it's kind of nice to see, Brad, you know, when you do stuff, well, first of all, you're already in some of these, number one, but also that it's the same pattern beautifully presenting itself.
Pull up a GLTO.
Yes.
Like that's
Yes,
what you're looking for, right?
absolutely. And, you know, let me show you what I'm going to do here. Number one, nothing magical. I'm going to say, and I'm going to ask myself a question. You can be funny to your own self if you want. And I get my own attention through humor, Brad.
Funny
But
to your future self.
that's right. Time travel is fun. But as Brad pointed out, simple little strokes of the filter server sort allows me to then have this incredible advantage knowing that the things I have to focus on, and our attention is maybe the biggest commodity that is sought after, because whatever you pay attention to, that's what you have to work with, okay? And here I am again. Household appliances, gold. I don't necessarily need to dive into the fundamentals. All I know is that something happened here. It was
That has got to be the worst daily chart I've ever seen. Like if you look what happens before that huge candle day and then the day after, it's like, oh my God.
right. But something's still potentially going on, and I'll just add the alert at 355 and saying could be bad. It's a simple process, and any one of you can do that, okay? Any one of you can do what I'm doing here. You can go based on price that you like. Once again, sometimes, by the way, guys, it's the fact that, Brad, you know, it'll come down, but once the longer this is, in reality, the more stability there is to the trade. And by the way, look at this gigantic move. How would we like it if this thing went back here?
Wow.
Well,
now one of the things we'll be adding onto the chart is we just had our chart meeting, and one of the things we'll be adding is a visual reference for a lot of different things, but one of those would be splits. And I don't know if this stock may have had split or not, but it'll give us a nice reference to know if it did. I don't think this one did though, looking at the chart.
And it's very possible. But visually, it comes through an exact way that we're talking about. But the reason why, Brad, I'm not sure is because look what it did here. See what I mean? Like it kind of went to this low and then jumped. Like you would think that it would have split over here or something. I don't know.
No, you're probably right.
But either way, what I'm trying to showcase is very simply that you can do stuff with trade ideas that makes it very simple. And remember, this whole time, when I'm showing you these stocks, you already have the game plan. So all of you, in theory, put in your own amounts ahead of time in terms of what do you like to get started with. So for me, it's $7,700. So this is my risk reward to get through today. An amazing piece of technology. And by the way, we're soon going to make it so you can see the financial ramifications of going through the swing exit, which is kind of a little bit of a longer term hold. But still, so that you can see, well, what am I really going to be risking if I'm holding it? Remember, Brad, you and I talked about that, how nice that will be. For more of just beyond today. In fact, you'll have this number, but then over here, you'll have just another number that tells you this is the whole picture. This is your long-term risk. This is your risk today. And this is your profit. This is how much you're going to gain if it gets the momentum that you're looking for. check mark on the 7.10. Okay. I wanted to really reiterate the basic concepts is that we do what we're saying. So 79% executing this strategy that I'm showing you through these types of returns, AMC, GameStop, ORPH, TK, things that they don't tell you about in mainstream finance. In fact, they do everything to prevent you from seeing that this is possible and talking about returns like, well, you made 5% this year, that's fantastic. Brad, congratulations on your 5%. You know, in another 10 years, that'll be 50, maybe. So we're trying to lead by example. We are the technology creators that use our own technology to facilitate that return. Okay? It was using trade ideas that I helped achieve this, and I'm continuing to manage this portfolio using exactly what I showed you here, which is this layout. Very simple. So this is on my right-hand side. I have other stuff that I'm doing on trade ideas where I'm going through simulated trading and things like that. But I'm just showing you more of a simplified approach to this game where you're not just saying, well, I got to trade this in, out, in, out. You know, I honestly don't think Warren Buffett does that, or even any of the terrible hedge funds that, you know, I battle on the daily. I think everybody wants to be on a wave and ride that wave. And I'm showing you what I'm doing so you can understand that we don't just talk the talk, but we walk the walk. And it's the walking of the walk that helps us to create the technology that you are subscribing to.